Welcome back to episode 13 of Warhammer Imperium 40k, battle games in the 41st millennium, and this will cover issue number 3. Okay, we have 5 miniatures with this issue: Assault Intercessor Squad, paint your new models, and new fight phase rules. In this issue contains a full squad of 5 Assault Intercessors to add to your collection. Before working on these new models, you learn more about the villainous Necrons and their dark origins. This issue's playthrough introduces important rule to the fight phase: consolidate moves, which allows a unit to close in on its foes after making attacks. Happy hobbying. And we'll have Assault Intercessor Squad, In Search of Immortality, The Tomb Awakens, 1,000 Chapters Fold Out, the build guide for the Assault Intercessor Squad, the paint guide for the Assault Intercessor Squad, and this week's playthrough, Battle for the Orb. And included in this issue, we have our sprue with the 5 Assault Intercessors, as well as the bases they will be placed on. Now, this magazine was not in order, so I did go ahead and put them in order according to the table of contents, so it will follow that. We have Assault Intercessors, Mobile Close Combat Specialists. Assault Intercessors are frontline shock troops who are equipped with lethal heavy bolt pistols and adamantine tooth chainsword that can cut through armor with ease. Their task is to charge the enemy and use their melee weapons to disrupt and break their lines. Assault Intercessor War Gear. Crusade marking. Space Marines who have this icon on their armor are warriors of the Indomitus Crusade. Heraldry. Sergeants often bear tilt shields marked with their personal heraldry. Bracer. Assault Intercessors bear reinforced bracers to protect their sword arm. Plasma pistol and bionic arm. This sergeant has suffered the loss of an arm. He has been fitted with a bionic replacement. He clutches a plasma pistol in his metallic hand. Squad Sergeant. Space Marine squads are led by sergeants. These are experienced warriors with a gift for leadership. The sergeants wear red helmets to signify their rank. Close support. Close support units are designed to be mobile and fast-moving, able to rapidly secure ground, disrupt enemy lines, and counter agile enemies. When the battle reaches its closing stage, close support squads are often form the final thrust, delivering the killing blow to the foe. Close support squads bear this cross symbol on their right shoulder pad. It allows commanders and allies to recognize them on the field of battle. Battle record. Bring your models to life by recording their details in the boxes below. Space Marine squads specialize in a particular method of making war. Squad name. Space Marine squads are usually named after the sergeant who leads them. Generate a name for your sergeant and his squad using B backgrounds 1. Squad specialism. Record your Assault Intercessor squad specialist skills or preferred methods of making war. And we have a D6 chart for that. It's an ambush specialist, expert gunslingers, assault grenadiers. Honorifics. Space Marines often bear honorific titles. Refer to B backgrounds 1 to generate a squad honorific. Names and heroic origins. Refer to B backgrounds 1 to generate a name for your Assault Intercessor Sergeant and a name for each member of the squad. Some Ultramarines come from brutal feral worlds, others from the depths teeming hive worlds, or the noble houses of McCraig. Record the origins of each member of your Assault Intercessor squad. And we have a Heroic Origin D6 chart, Hive Scum Gang Member, Indoctrinated Youth Soldier, Argy World Farm Worker, Survivor of Death World. Okay, use spaces below to track the history of your Assault Intercessor squad as it does battle on the tabletop. Close support skills. Tally every unit your Assault Intercessors has slain using their chainsword. Record of battle. As you play games, record your Assault Intercessors' heroic deeds, great victories, and crushing defeats. Examples: shattered a phalanx of Necron warriors, clearing a path to the enemy leader. Casualties suffered from Scorpec destroyers, Hyperphase Reap Blade. In search of immortality. The Necrons are feared across the Imperium and far beyond as a race of immortal android warriors. Rumors persist of an ancient Necron tombs rising from beneath the surface of settled worlds, and of relentless legions crushing all beneath their metallic tread. Yet the Necrons were not always thus. Across the barren surface of a Necron tomb world, Knapdep automatons and mindless slaves do the bidding of their immortal noble masters. Many of the galaxy's significant races know the Necrons only as terrifying and deadly beings that they are now. Indeed, it took mankind many centuries to even recognize them as a single alien race. The Necron leaders were clearly sentient and intelligent, but they made no effort to explain their origins or motivations, or what they consider to be lesser races, They simply exterminated them. Yet hints of the origins of the Necron race still existed, buried in the shattered ruins of dead tomb worlds and amidst the hidden lore and mythology of the Eldari, a psychic race almost as ancient as the Necron themselves. Once, the legends suggest, the Necrons were a race of flesh and blood beings known as the Necrotyr. Short-lived and warlike, the Necrotyr were obsessed with death and possessed a vast, star-spanning empire. They were constantly fighting amongst themselves. Desperate to unite their people, the leaders of the Necrotyr began a vicious war with the race known as the Old Ones. It was a war over the secrets of immortality, and also a war that the Necrotyr could never win. None but the Necrotyr themselves recall a full history of this conflict, known as the War in Heaven. Eldari lore, however, suggests that the Old Ones were the creators of the Webway, a network of tunnels through which entire armies can cross the galaxy. The secrets behind the origins of the Necron race are buried beneath the surface of their tomb worlds, all guarded by their legion. All attempts to plunder these worlds have failed. Inquisitor Havas Ordo Xenos. Using the Webway, the Old Ones were able to turn back the Necrotyr on every front. When all seemed lost, an offer of aid arrived. The Catan, a race of godlike beings, appeared before Zarek, the last of the Silent Kings, and leader of the Necrotyr, to offer aid. All it would cost was for the Necrotyr to ally themselves with the Catan in order to destroy the hated Old Ones forever. Zarek deliberated for a long time, but eventually accepted. In doing so, he damned his entire race. The nightmare process of biotransference that followed placed the minds of the Necrotyr into bodies of living metal, transforming them into the Necrons. The price was their souls, which were devoured by the treacherous Catan, and for all but the nobility, the obliteration of almost all personality and free will. No more would the Necrons war with one another, for command protocols bound them to Zarek's will, yet the costs cost of this unity had been monstrous indeed. The Necrons and their Catan allies would destroy the Old Ones, but the victory was costly and the Catan were greatly weakened by the conflict. The Necrons rebelled against the deceitful Catan, shattering the star gods into fragments. With the Catan defeated, Zarek saw that his people's time was done, for they were too weak to fight the Old Ones. Vengeful allies. He ordered his people into stasis so that they could sleep out the aeons until they were ready to rise once more. This order issued, Zarek destroyed his command protocols, freeing his people. He then fled into the intergalactic void, seeking solace in the endless darkness. The Catan. The Catan are a race of incredibly powerful godlike beings formed from the fundamental energies of the universe. Like the Necrontyr, they had once warred against the Old Ones and had been defeated. Thanks to the deception of the Necrontyr, the Catan would have vengeance upon the Old Ones, but the victory would be short-lived. The Necrons, as they had become, sought vengeance of their own by using the Eldritch technologies to shatter the Catan into shards. Even these shards, however, are powerful indeed. The Necrons have bound many Catan shards into their engines of war. These tortured remnants of the Star Gods now serve as unwilling weapons in the armies of those whose souls they once devoured. The Old Ones and the Eldari. The Old Ones were a race of technologically and physically advanced beings who once ruled the galaxy. It is speculated that they may have created many of the galaxy's intelligent races, including the Eldari, gifted psychers. The Eldari served the Old Ones during the war against the Catan and their Necrontyr allies. Hated foes of the Necrons, the Eldari race still existed, though they have been reduced in number by warfare and tragedy. They still utilize the webway created by the Old Ones to travel the stars. The Tomb Awakens. Within the obsidian bowels of her tomb world, a Necron overlord rises from her stasis crypt and slumbers purely disrupted by the presence of verminous intruders. She awoke in darkness, her mind a confusing haze of blazing alarms and fractured memories. As power flooded through her body once more, her senses sharpened, and her disordered mind began to clear. She looked down at her metallic form and remembered. She was Agathos, overlord of the Sautek dynasty. Once of the Necrontyr, she had been robbed of her flesh. She could no longer feel the cool air in the crypt upon her skin. She felt neither sorrow nor rage, merely emptiness. The massive lid of the obsidian sarcophagus in which she had been entombed lay open. She rose from her place of rest and stepped forward into the chamber beyond. Synaptic maintenance units scuttered across the dusty floor, repairing cracks in the obsidian stone and reconnecting trailing cables. Agathos had no idea how much time had passed since she had entered stasis. It was clear, however, that she had been awakened early. She could hear alarms ringing through the complex, and she could feel the soft thrum of the tomb world's generators sending power coursing through the obsidian halls. The repetitive alarm calls of the tomb's kinetic defenders filtered into her android brain, warning her of an incursion. Status report: tomb breached, automated defenses initiated. The tomb had not awakened according to schedule. Someone had intruded upon the realm. They would regret their folly. She strode across the chamber, pausing before a low table crafted from jet black stone. Atop the structure, resting inside a glowing energy field, was her void scythe. She reached through the force field with the flickering, which flickered and died at her touch, and grasped the hilt of the vast weapon. Its weight balanced. His weight brought a certain comfort. She turned the weapon over in her hand and focused on the task before her: to drive the vermin who dared to despoil her home. Okay, and here we have a map of one of the tombs. Here's the entrance breach where the intruders were detected, and the Overlord's crypt and command center is way at the bottom. Sensor report: life forms detected, organic origin, kinetic defenses routines activated, awakening protocols online. Central tomb compromised, assembly chamber breached, redirecting kinetic defense constructs to intercept. Stasis fields deactivated, command protocols transferred to Overlord Agasus. The tomb's kinetic protectors had already engaged the foes. Casualty reports began to filter across the tomb's communication networks, feeding the command console that lined the Overlord crypt with images of intruders. These were beings of flesh and blood, armed with little more than crude energy weapons. She watched as kinetic wraiths phased through the walls of the corridor and descended upon a group of unwary trespassers, scything them apart with bladed limbs. The vermin had come in number, however. Elsewhere, red-robed beings, their bodies augmented with crude technology, did battle with the kinetic spiders and menacing swarms of kinetic scarabs. Sounds like Adeptus Mechanicus to me. The thought of these primitive creatures crawling through the walls of her bastion filled Agasethus with a cold fury. It was time to show the verminous intruders the utter folly of their assault. Staff in hand, she turned towards the chamber's exit, activating her command protocols as she skulked into the gloom. The chamber beyond was vast indeed, lined on all sides by black coffins, within which lay the skeletal forms of her phalanxes. Standing in the center of the chamber with her lich guard, silver necrodermy glistening in the light and glowing hyperphase swords and dispersion fields. As she joined her bodyguards, the eyes of the silent Necron warriors began to flicker to life. The green pinpricks of light shifted in the darkness as they started to stir in their tombs. Slowly, the reactivated Necrons rose from their slumber. Their movements were more ponderous and far clumsier than that of their overlord. Some failed to stir at all, their coffins damaged by falling masonry, or their circuitry corroded through the long hibernation. Others sported tarnished armor and trailing cables. There were no longer the exquisite creations they had once been. Still, some were functional, and that was all that mattered. There will be no time to restore my legions to their former glory, Ariseth thought to herself as the legions assembled. First, we must destroy the intruders. The warriors gathered in ranks, with their Gauss weapons pulsing with green energy. Eyes focused straight ahead. All were perfectly ordered. There would be no dissent in the ranks. These warriors lacked the capacity for fear. With her warriors in formation, Ariseth raised a hand, simultaneously tapping into the tomb complex's translocation matrix and transmitting the command protocols to activate the mustering chamber's teleportation device. It was time to engage the foe. One by one, the silent ranks of Necron warriors were enveloped in glowing translocation beams. Ariseth watched as bodies ripped and faded from sight, cast into the battle, and those who dared trespass upon Necron territory. Eventually, the matter transporter's beam fell upon the Overlord and her Lich Guard. She felt the familiar anticipation of battle coursing through her body. I rise once more, she thought to herself as the beam engulfed her. First to cleanse this world, then to conquer the stars. The galaxy shall tremble before the might of the Sautek dynasty. Militarium Tempstress status report. Lieutenant Garrus Leonin, 11th Kepik Eagles. Adeptus Mechanicus forces have breached into the Xenos Archeo site and awoken a nest of murderous Xenos creatures. We are outnumbered and outmatched. Our casualties are severe, and our position here is untenable. Requests immediate reinforcements. May the Emperor save our souls. 1,000 chapters. Ultramarines have served the Emperor loyally for 10,000 years. There are as many as 1,000 chapters of Space Marines known in the galaxy. Some were born at the first founding, and they have a history that goes back 10,000 years. Others are newly founded. All serve the Emperor and fight in his wars with unquestioning loyalty. Imperial Fists. Son of the Primarch Rogel Dorn, the Imperial Fists specialize in siege combat, whether breaking into seemingly impenetrable fortresses or defending the Imperium's own bastions. The Imperial Fists confront Nurgle's shambling demons. Black Templars. A second founding chapter, the Black Templars trace their lineage back to Rogel Dorn. They are on a consistent crusade, and unlike most Space Marines, they worship the Emperor as a god. The Black Templars unleash their righteous fury on the Orcs. Space Wolves. Just like their Primarch, Leman Russ, the Space Wolves are fiercely independent. They continue to reject Raboot Guilliman's Codex Astrates in favor of their own methods of making war. The Space Wolves fight with a primitive, bestial fury. Dark Angels. The Dark Angels are a chapter who have been shrouded in mystery since the disappearance of their Primarch, Leon L. Johnson. They are renowned experts in the use of plasma weapons. Master Lazarus leads the Dark Angels in battle, or to battle. Okay, White Scars. The White Scars are known for the lightning-fast hit-and-run attacks. They are expert riders who favor bikes and land speeders. In their veins run the blood of the Primarch, Jagadi Khan. White Scar bikers run down a group of Genestealer cultists. Blood Angels. Descended from the Primarch Sanguinius, the Blood Angels suffer the genetic flaw which makes them susceptible to the all-consuming fury known as the Black Rage. The Blood Angels strive to hold back a tide of Tyranids. Adeptus Astratus at War. It is believed that there are approximately 1,000 Space Marine chapters. Each chapter operates independently, fighting in the Emperor's battles in the wake of the Great Rift. The galaxy is riven by war. And these loyal chapters find themselves embroiled in countless conflicts across the entire galaxy. The original 20 Space Marine legions were created by the Emperor himself in an event known as the First Founding. Soon afterwards, a cataclysmic civil war known as the Horus Heresy erupted. By the time the conflict came to an end, only 9 loyal legions remained, the rest having been destroyed or lost to the worship of the Dark Gods. In the aftermath of the Horus Heresy, Reboot Guilliman's Codex Astrates ordered the legions to be broken down into smaller brotherhoods called chapters. These flexible fighting forces were to number no more than 1,000 warriors across 10 companies. And many chapters were formed. This is known as the Second Founding. There have been many more foundings since, resulting in the creation of hundreds of more Space Marine chapters. There is no defined interval between foundings. They are launched as and when the High Lord of Terra deems it necessary. There may be no foundings for a millennia, and 3 in the space of a decade. One founding may be but of a handful of chapters, while the next might be made up of dozens. The most recent founding was the Ultima Founding, initiated by Reboot Guilliman. It is arguably the largest and most significant founding to date. The chapters known to have been created during this founding include the Void Tridents, Rift Stalkers, Rift Cobras, and Umbral Knights. If every Space Marine chapter operated at full strength, almost impossible due to battle attrition, the total number of Space Marines would likely not exceed 1 per Imperial world. Yet, despite their meager numbers, the Space Marines do battle on 100 fronts, butchering their foes and crushing them beneath their ceramite boots. Fleet-based chapters. Fleet-based chapters travel across the galaxy aboard colossal strike cruisers and battle barges, striking wherever the Emperor's foes rise, constantly on the hunt for heretics and Xenos to destroy. With no homeworld to protect, fleet-based chapters can pursue enemy into the darkest corners of the galaxy. Chapter planets. Chapter planets can be found in every segmentum of the galaxy, though some have been destroyed or besieged in the wake of the Great Rift. The majority stand strong. The Space Marines who call these worlds home now find themselves responsible for protecting nearby systems from the Imperium's ever-encroaching enemies. And here we have an overall map of the galaxy. Each one of these here is a chapter homeworld. Up here at the chapter marker key, the top name is the chapter planet or fleet name. Underneath that is the chapter name and the chapter symbol below that. You see this particular one here is Silence. The chapter is Night Watch, and their symbol below that. And we have quite a few chapters here. Got the Flesh Terrors, Jade Scorpions, Salamanders, Imperial Fists, White Panthers, Marines Errant, Space Wolves, Brazen Claw, Hawk Lords, Watch Fortress, Iron Crusaders, Watch Fortress, Blood Angels. I'm sure that's not all the chapters, but there's quite a few on here. Okay, and that's just how the galaxy is laid out right now. And obviously you have the Great Rift running down the middle here. I know McCraig is down here. Not quite sure where Earth is. Oh, yeah, right here. So this is Terra and Mars. So that's our solar system. Okay, and that is how that is laid out. And we have how to build Assault Intercessors. This guide shows you how to assemble your new Assault Intercessor models. Carefully follow this guide, paying close attention to the instructions as you do so. Clip the components from the sprue, place the flat of the blade next to the component you need, and gently but firmly cut the plastic. Once you have clipped all the components from the sprue, lay them out and make sure you have everything before you start to assemble them. Oh, you will need to slot the head into position before pressing the chest and back pieces together to lock the head in place. Okay. Okay, let's start with number 1 here. It says only apply pressure directly behind the pegs and slots. Okay, so we need 1 and 8. See, there's 1. Oh, that's why I'm trying to cut his peg off. Okay, that's 1. And 8 is right here. Okay, now that is 1 and 8. Oh, we're building the Sergeant. Okay, I'm going to do the variant of the Sergeant without his head. Or without his helmet. So that's going to be, we need number 5 head right here. Okay, so this one's not going to be used. And then we need 3 and 2. There's 2. Okay, and 3 right here. That's the half of the chest with the tilt shield. Alright. Let's clean up those sprue marks. Okay, the other one on the arm here. Okay, and on the very bottom. A little bit on the head there. On the bottom of the head. The side of his armor here. And on this little ankle piece here, and that actually got a little groove taken out of his armor there. Yeah, we'll have to just disguise that as battle damage. Okay. So, take that, we put his head in first. On the oh. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. That's the bottom half of his body. Okay, so let's get it started in the peg there and then throw his head in. There we go. Okay. Yeah, might as well get the rest of them. We got 6, 7, and 14. There's 7. Where is... There's 14. And 6 is a chainsword arm. There's 6. Okay. I really don't like the sprue marks on the rounded surfaces. I never seem to get it to look right. Okay. I have a little bit on the top here. Okay, there's his backpack. And I think I'll definitely be painting these in sub-assemblies. So. Or, I don't know. We'll see when we get there. But look at that arm right there. I think that's definitely going to have to come off. Okay. And goes on the base here. Okay. There, that is the sergeant. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off and build up the other 4. Okay, the assault intercessors are assembled and primed and ready to be painted. And one thing I didn't realized while I was doing the building here is that down here we got a note that says extra components. After assembling your models, you'll have extra components. Keep these in a small box or plastic bag, as some of them will be used in a later issue. And what I have here is a tube that my detail paintbrushes came in, and I've been saving the extra pieces here. This is all the Necron stuff from when we had those 10 Necrons that could be built 2 different ways. So there's 10 Necron heads in here, 5 Gauss Flares, and 5 Gauss Reapers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those extra bits and just throw them in with that. And then when we need them in a later issue, just pull them back out. And I also realized that that piece that I thought was the sergeant's head is actually a piece that goes on his waist here with his helmet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is using the same palette from last week. I only did a handful of colors on there, so just add a little more water to it and go from there. Okay, so we're on to the How to Paint Assault Intercessors. It says that in this issue's paint guide, you'll be painting your new squad of Assault Intercessors. Gather your paints in a water pot and set up a painting area before you begin. I've already done that. Okay, we're starting with MacLeod Blue, 3 coats. Thin the paint so that it is 3 parts paint to 1 part water. Apply 3 coats. Let the model dry between paints. So, I got my MacLeod Blue here. And again, I'm going to be using that starter brush as the base brush. Okay, we're doing a 3-to-1 paint. As usual, get the soap out of the brush. Even though this brush is pretty much shot, I still try and keep it as in good a condition as I can. There's 2 and 3 parts of paint. 1 part of water. And mix that up real good. Okay. And I guess we'll start with the sergeant here. And again, just being a base coat going over the entire model. Not too concerned with accuracy, just want to establish that base coat. I don't like how loose that head is. Might have to glue that on at the end. So again, nothing special here, just trying to make everything blue. Decided what I'm going to do with those arms there is I'm going to keep them on for stuff like this, the base coat. But when I get to stuff that's going to be harder to do, like the Retributor Gold around the trim of the shoulder pads, that's when I will just take the arms right off and paint them separately. Because by that time I'll have the base coat on the rest of the model, so I can hold it with my gloved hand while I paint it, and should be fine. I won't have to worry about rubbing paint off. So that is how I am going to tackle that. And again, the gun, I really shouldn't be worrying about the gun, because that's going to be black and silver. But, you know, the way they do it here is they paint everything the base coat, so that's how we're going to do it. And I might have to take it off just for the base coat. It's getting pretty hard to get in there. You know, on the sides here. Definitely got to do a lot of tilting and maneuvering to get into those nooks and crannies. But this being the bulk of the model, this is pretty much most time-consuming part right here. Also the most boring. So that being said, just going to skip this and go right to the finished models. Okay, the base coat Craig Blue is finished. And these guys are ready for the next step, which will be lead belcher. Set these all aside here. I've changed my water, cleaned my brush, and ready to move on here. Okay, lead belcher. Paint each gun entirely with lead belcher, as you will be painting over the casing, purity seals, and parchment later. Paint the chainsword, paint the entire weapon for now. You'll paint over some of these details later. Paint the silver details on the side of the helmets. Use a small amount of paint and make sure the brush has a fine tip. Paint the backpack vents. When painting the circular vents, be careful not to have too much paint on your brush. Paint the sergeant's plasma pistol and his bionic arm. Avoid blue armor details and use the image above as a guide. Okay, so that is it for the lead belcher. Okay, and I don't think I will be needing to take the arms off at this point. So, but when I do the Abaddon black, probably gonna have to take them off then, just to get in the, you know, the joints in that. Okay, let's get started. For this, I'm gonna switch to the, probably the zero brush for this, or you know what? No, we're gonna go with the number 1. Okay. Now, first let's get some lead belcher on the palette here. Be another 3-to-1 ratio. Get the water on it. Okay, there we go. Looks pretty smooth. Try and keep that brush clean. Okay. One thing about these hairbrushes here is they do collect a lot of water. So you're going to want to dry them off after rinsing them. All right. Let's just start with the chain sword up here. And it didn't say that this was going to be 3 coats. So I'm going to do the 1 coat and then see how it looks, and maybe, it might need 2 coats. Now you're doing down here around where it gets close to the hilt and this little vent here. You want to make sure you get into those recesses. Oh, it's going to be painted over black anyway, so I guess it really doesn't matter. The only thing you really want to make sure you get good are the actual teeth of the saw, because I think that's pretty much the only thing that's going to stay lead belcher. Well, maybe the vent, I believe, stays silver, but and then we'll just go along in between the teeth here. Make sure you get that lead belcher down in there. And get the other side. Now the arm, that's going to be the fun part. And I may just use the detail brush for that. And it'll take a little longer, but I'd rather get it done right first. And I have to go back fixing a bunch of mistakes. So that's probably how I'm going to handle that one. But, speaking of time, doing all things like this, painting things one color that are just going to be being painted another color. Now, see, it does look a little thin, so it might need 2 coats, but I don't know if I'm going to do 2 coats on this, because, like I said, it's going to be painted black anyways, so. And I just want to take as much care here to not get any on the blue armor. Okay, that looks pretty good. And, get his plasma pistol here. The thing that sucks about painting the lead belcher and then painting over it, that coat that goes over it is going to be real thin. So it'll be a little bit of a pain. Oh, you know what? His whole hand is silver, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So I can take the silver right up to this band here. Just like that. Little Terminator hand. Actually, no, I might not need to switch to detail for this. I think, at least on this part of the hand, where it gets a little further up the arm, I might. Let's see here. Yeah, that ain't too bad. I don't need detail. I will be using the detail brush on the helmets, though. I don't think I'm getting that, getting those hoses there. Now, I was wrong. I do need to start taking arms off here because it's going to be very difficult to get at the other side here. It's a good thing this is a no glue model. I can just dismantle it as needed. Okay, let's get in over here. Get in everywhere with the lead belcher. And get the rest of that arm. I think I got that all the way around. Okay. Yeah, it came out pretty good. I'm just trying not to touch it with my bare hand because I don't want to rub any paint off. I might get a little rub off with the glove, but really don't want to be getting the oils from my hands all over it. That would make it come off that much quicker. Okay. So there is his gun arm. And I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these guys all done up. And I'll be back for the next step. Okay, the silver lead belcher details have been completed. Chainsword, the pistols, the marks on the helmet, the jetpack, and any little cables running from the shoulder pads to the elbows. Okay, so we'll move on to the next color, which is going to be Abaddon Black. Alright. You will now apply a bed in black, Corax white, and Retributor armor to your assault intercessors. Follow the guide carefully and paint these details on all 5 of your assault intercessor models. You may find it helpful to refer to the final gallery at the end of this paint guide as you go. 1. Paint the rib joints of the armor. Some of these areas may be difficult to reach. Tilting or rotating the model will make it easier to reach these areas. Number 2, paint these rib details at the back of the armor. If you get any black paint on the blue armor beneath, let it dry before painting it over it with MacLeod blue. Paint the casings of the heavy bolt pistols and the plasma pistols. These areas differ slightly. Use a final gallery at the end of the paint guide to see the bolt pistols. And then last, paint the chainsword casing and handles. Avoid the power unit at the base and the teeth of the weapon. Use the final gallery as a reference. Okay. So, we're going to start again with the sergeant. Okay, and just mix up some of bed and black here. And since it didn't specify, I'm assuming it's the same 3-to-1 ratio. Okay, the paint is mixed up. Thinned down pretty good. Let's see here. Make a little room. Got these other guys all over the place. Alright. Yes, we'll start with the chainsword here. Let me check the... I don't like these guys' center of gravity. Yeah, okay, it's everything except for that box there. So, just paint around that. Oh, God. These things just keep falling apart. And again, since we're painting over metallic here, it's going to look like crap the first couple coats. But just want to get it as smooth and even as possible. And his chainsword is a little crooked too. I'm kind of hoping I can bend that back into place. There's really no reason it should be bent out of shape like that. I mean, I was laying flat on the sprue, but whatever. Yeah, at least I'll just do try and keep it in smooth, even strokes. Right. And then just come around the side of that power box there. And just right around the edge of it, on the bottom. Actually, as it turns out, on those helmets, I really didn't even need the detail brush. So, but I will be using it with the when you do the finer details with the Retributor armor, like on their gauntlets, the skulls on the helmet, and that. Okay, so I'll get all that black done and then come back. Okay, the black has been applied to the models, and had a little injury here. Apparently, I like breaking the arms of my miniatures. I was removing his arm so I could get at the joints of the armor, and I'm thinking because of the backpack being in the way, I think it kind of made it a little rougher to get out than it should have been. So that snapped right off. I'm gonna have to glue that back on after I do the Retributor armor. But that's going to be a little later in the process. So for now, I'll just leave it unattached. Okay, now we have Corax White. It says paint the sergeant's face, apply 3 thin coats. Try to use as few brush strokes as possible and allow each coat to dry before applying the next. Okay, so that is going to be the only Corax White in here. So let's go ahead and get that done. Get my 3 parts paint. To 1 part water. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, and I'm going to use my 2-0 brush here for this. And get these guys out of the way. Do not need them. Alright. Now, oh, that's the wrong guy. There's the sergeant. Alright, so I just want to get just the skin. But if you get in any other areas, don't see it as a big deal, because they will be painted over later. And then again, so will the white. Going over that with a flesh tone. I'm trying just to do basically the outline and then filling it in. Can't tell if that's his bottom lip or if that's part of his mouth guard there. And it looks like it's his lip. And to make it a little easier, I'm going to take this arm off, because it's partially obscuring that side of his face. Faces can be a pain. But I think I might start doing heads separately, especially for stuff like this. And with the regular Marines, getting at those silver details on the helmet. It's a little bit of a pain with the Primaris armor, how it's got that collar around it, so it's a little hard to get to. So I might just get a piece of cork or something and a pin and just stick them on that and paint it. And we'll get it inside his mouth too. Okay. 2 more coats like that and this should be good. Okay, and the face is painted. We got a little outside of the lines, but ain't too worried about that. I didn't bother putting his arm back on because next step here is Retributor armor. It says paint the shoulder armor trim, angle the model toward yourself, and brush along the whole edge of the trim in a single long stroke where possible. Okay. Alright, 2, paint the winged skull symbols on Space Marine's chest. Make sure the paint flows into the recesses. 3 thin coats should be enough. And up the top here it says, you will now finish applying Retributor armor to the icons and symbols of the armor of your assault intercessors. You will then apply Screamer Pink to the purity seals and weapon grips. Follow the guide below and paint all these areas of your assault intercessors. 3, paint the Adomitus Crusade symbol on the assault intercessors bracers. Twist the brush when collecting the paint to ensure the bristles form a fine point. Paint the pommel at the end of the chainswords. Don't worry if you get some gold paint on the grips. You'll paint over these areas in a moment. The sergeant's helmet is hanging from his waist. Paint the skull symbol in the center of the helmet. Use the tip of your brush to ensure accuracy. And let's take a quick look at the finished gallery and see if there's any other Retributor armor that it doesn't specifically call out. And it looks like that is it. Okay, guess since we have the sergeant here, we'll just start with him. We'll thin out some Retributor armor. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's take this other arm off here. Just trying to be a little extra careful with them. I'll do the those shoulder pads last. And I'll just get the details on the armor itself. Yeah, I'm trying not to get it on the blue, but yeah, I might have to go touch it up, especially up near the top there. Yeah, that's the problem with painting three-dimensionally. You go down and get the sides, and you end up getting it on the what's beneath it. Alright. Yeah, it's definitely going to need a little touch up of McCraig blue there. Okay, well, at least I got the outline now. Should probably be using a bigger brush for this, but yeah, it's fine. But I do want to get that gold right down to the armor. Okay, got that. Oh, and the gold on his helmet. That little skull there. So small that if you just trace around the edge of it, you'll end up filling it all in. Okay, that looks pretty good. Right, you know, yeah, I'm going to go to number 1 for that. It's considerably more surface area. All right. This will start on the inside here. Well, that's probably don't have to paint it in this far because a lot of this you're not even going to be able to see. But, you know, I'm going to do it, might as well do it right. Great skin on his arm now. Ugh. There we go. You get along the bottom lip there. It's kind of hard to get a good angle on that part right above the arm there. There we go. Now this here you want to really take your time with, because you want to get that inside lip, but at the same time you don't want to get on the blue. So just go real easy with that. A little bit of a pain, but totally worth it in the end. Ah. Okay, I kind of screwed up on that one. Yeah, that's going to need to be touched up. Damn it. All right. Now, this guy here. For the sword arm. And again, if it gets on there a little bit, not too huge of a deal, because again the wash is going to hide a lot of that. But I'm getting it all over here, so I'm going to definitely want to neaten that up before I move on. Okay, looks pretty good. Got the lip up here and down here. All right. So I'm not making as much of a mess as I thought I was going to. But still could be a whole lot better. Alright, just gotta get the inside. Again, should be using a detail brush there. Okay. Oh, this arm's got the bracer symbol there. The Indomitus Crusade. The hardest part about these small parts is holding on to them while you paint them. Oh man, yeah, I'm definitely have to come through with the detail on that. Okay, so that is all the gold detail. I'll go ahead and do the 3 coats and finish up the other 4. Okay, the Retributor armor has been applied to the models. So, a little less than perfect in some spots, but I can touch that up as I go. Also, you'll see I haven't done the symbols on the shoulder pads yet. I don't know if we will be getting decal sheets in some later issue. I know with the first subscription service they had, the Conquest, it did not come with decal sheets. So there is a precedent there for decals not to be included. But I also know a lot of people were quite upset with the fact that it didn't come with sheets. So who knows, maybe they'll correct that with this one. If not, I'll just have to buy some or print some off. I sure as hell ain't painting them freehand. Okay, so now we got Screamer Pink. It says find and paint all the purity seals. Your paint should be thinned slightly so that it flows into the recesses. Use the tip of your brush to avoid the black paint. Paint the chainsword grips. Make sure you have a fine tip on your brush, as some of these handle details are very small and hard to paint accurately. Alright, so I have my Screamer Pink here. And let's see. As usual, I'm going to use the starter brush to thin it. And I'm going to go back to the 00 brush. And as I said, this is small details we're working on. And got my palette here. And we're going to do the 3-to-1 ratio. 2 and 3. And as you'll see, I did glue that guy's arm on that I broke off earlier, so I don't think there's any more detail I'm going to need to get in there, and if I do, I'll just get the best I can. Now, I believe that each one of these intercessors has 1 purity seal. The captain's is on his waist. 2 of them have it on their legs. 1 has it on the jetpack, and the other one is on their gun. So, or sergeant, not captain. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, so we're going to start with the sergeant here. And his is right there next to his helmet. So I'll go ahead and just get all around that. Obviously, if you get it on the parchment, it's not a big deal because that will be painted over. But you do want to avoid getting it on the armor here. So I'll just go real slow around the edge. And just like that. Okay, that's pretty good. Now for the chain sword handle. Which that one, so there's a little line because you got it coming up here between his palm and fingers. Get that and come right down to the pommel there. Oh my god, my hands are not very steady today. Okay. So not too much to that. It's the first coat. And I'll do the other guys and get 3 coats on there. And then we'll get into the playthrough. Okay, the Screamer Pink has been applied. And the purity seals and the handle of the chainsword. So these guys are ready for this week's playthrough. Okay, and that would be Battle for the Orb. The Space Marines have located a valuable piece of Necron technology, the Overlord's Resurrection Orb. Destroying this item may help secure an Imperial victory. Auspex readout unknown Xenos Archaeotech, Radiation Extremis, Heat Extremis, Plasma nil, Molecular composition unknown. Energy pulse consistent with destructive potential. Do not handle item. Recommended immediate isolation and destruction. The Resurrection Orb. Deep within the Overlord's personal armory, the Space Marine and his forces have located the Overlord's Resurrection Orb, and they intend to destroy it. The Scorpec destroyers and Kinetic Cerubs have been dispatched to kill the interlopers and secure the precious orb. Mission briefing. The Necrons must secure their master's resurrection orb and slaughter the Imperial Space Marine invaders. The Space Marines, meanwhile, must hold back the Necrons long enough for their allies to destroy the resurrection orb. Necrons, recover the orb. An invaluable treasure. Damaged during the invasion of Midgaria, only awoken from restorative status by the Space Marines' assault, the Necron Overlord has been isolated from its prized possession, the Resurrection Orb. This kinetic engineered device can repair seemingly destroyed Necrons during battle, rendering the legions even more resilient and relentless. The Space Marines cannot be allowed to secure or destroy this precious treasure. For this reason, the Overlord has summoned the dreaded destroyers, for they will surely annihilate his foes. Space Marines, sabotaging Necron tech. Destroy the Necron orb. Deep within the Necron's crypt, the Space Marines' Auspex scanning devices have detected a pulse of energy. Following this lead, the Primaris captain has stumbled upon the armory stacked with Necron weapons and technology, at the heart of which stands a glowing orb. Redolent with unknown power. If this device can be destroyed, the Necron's battlefield repair abilities will be weakened, giving the Imperial forces an advantage for future conflicts. The enemy, however, will not allow their prize to be destroyed without a fight. They must be driven back. Okay, in this page, here's the Space Marine data sheets. So this page contains all the Space Marine data sheets required for the playthrough. You'll also need to refer back to these data sheets in order to follow the future playthroughs. Primaris Captain, he is unit number 1. Move 6, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+. Usual stats. This is the Primaris Captain, can be equipped with a plasma pistol and mastercrafted power sword. And the plasma pistol actually has 2 firing modes. Before selecting targets, you have to select one of the profiles. Standard is just a 12-inch attack with strength 7, armor penetration of 3, and does 1 damage. Supercharge is a single shot, range of 12 inches, strength 8, armor penetration of 3, and damage of 2. If an unmodified hit roll of 1 are made with this weapon, the bearer is destroyed after shooting this weapon. Okay, mastercrafted power sword, melee weapon, strength +1, armor penetration of 3, damage of 2. For abilities, he has +4 invulnerable save, and has the keyword of character, so he can do the heroic intervention. And then we have the Assault Intercessor Squad. 4 through 9 are the normal intercessors. Number 1 is the Sergeant. No real difference in stats. It says every model is equipped with a heavy bolt pistol, a Stratus chainsword. Okay, weapons, heavy bolt pistol, 18-inch range, single shot, strength of 4, armor penetration of 1, damage of 1. And plasma pistol, just went over up with the Captain. And same with the Stratus chainsword. Except this is just a normal one, whereas the Captain's is a master-crafted power sword. So he doesn't actually have the chainsword. This is melee, strength user, armor penetration of 1, damage of 1. And each time the bearer fights, it makes 1 additional attack with this weapon. So instead of... Oh, there's the difference between the Sergeant and the other intercessors. The Sergeant has 3 attacks. The other guys only have 2. So if they're using the chainsword, it would be 3. Or 4 and 3. Rematch, when you have followed the playthrough to its conclusion, try playing it again using the aggressors in place of the assault intercessors. Okay, Necron data sheets. Okay, we have Scorpec destroyers, 8-inch move, weapon and ballistics of 3, strength and toughness of 5, 3 wounds, 3 attacks, 3+ save. Okay, one model is equipped with a hyperphase reap blade. Every other model is equipped with hyperphase threshers. Reap blade is strength +2, armor penetration of 4, damage of 3. And the threshers are strength as user, armor penetration of 3, damage of 2. This is each time the bearer fights, it makes 1 additional attack with this weapon. So much like the chainsword, they get that extra attack in. So Scorpec destroyers are armed with 2 different types of weapons. Remember to resolve attacks made with each of these weapons separately. Hyperphase Reap Blade. One Scorpec destroyer is armed with the Hyperphase Reap Blade. It is a larger, deadlier weapon with greater AP and damage characteristics. Hyperphase Threshers. 2 Scorpeks are armed with paired hyperphase threshers. These weapons are smaller and lighter, granting the bearer an additional attack. And Synaptic Scarab Swarms, movement of 10, weapon skill of 4, no ballistics, strength and toughness of 3, 4 wounds, 4 attacks, saves on a 6+. So basically, if you hit them with any kind of armor penetration, they're not saving that. Weapon feeder mandibles, melee weapon, strength as user, no armor penetration, 1 damage. So each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. Living metal, this model regains 1 lost wound at the start of each of its turn. Keyword fly. Okay, and the Scorpek destroyers also have the living metal ability. Rematch. When you followed the playthrough to its conclusion, try playing it again using the Overlord in place of the Synaptic Scarab Swarms. Okay, and he has a Void Scythe. Strength is ×2. AP -4. Damage 3. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. He has the living metal ability and the character keyword. Rules. This page contains all the rules you'll need to follow this issue's playthrough. You'll also need to have the rules reference section of a playthrough 10 to hand. Read through the rules below before you move on to the playthrough. Data sheets, numbers, tells how many of each model are in the unit. War gear options, some models in the unit can have different war gear. Check your models to see if this is the case. How to fly, models with fly can move over other models when they make their normal move, advance, fallback, or charge. The model with fly can ignore vertical distances when they make a normal move, an advance, or when they fall back. Models with fly can be moved within engagement range of enemies, but cannot end their move within engagement range of an enemy model. Plasma pistol, choice of shot. Each time the model shoots with this weapon, select which weapon profile you wish to use. Refer to the datasheet for more information. We have standard and supercharge. Setup. Using the instructions below, set up the battlefield before following the playthrough. Lay out your large battle mat, gather your dice, range ruler, and wound markers. Set up your models shown to the left, set up in unit coherency. The Necrons must be placed within 5 inches of the edge mat, and the Intercessors must be placed within 4 inches of the center position D. Choose who will be the Necrons player and who will be the Space Marines player. Okay, so we have the 3 Synaptic Scarabs on A. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and set the mat up and get this one going. Okay, we have the large mat laid out. And see, we start with the scarabs on A in cohesion. Okay. And then we have the Scorpek destroyers on B. The Intercessors on D. And the captain on C. Still haven't glued his base on yet because I'm waiting until I finish doing the details under his cloak there. And we have objective 1. Okay, get the wound markers ready to go. Okay, turn 1, Space Marines. Eligible Space Marines unit may move, shoot, and charge at their Necron opponents. The Space Marines move towards the Necrons, seeking to block their path to the objective. Okay, first, move the Space Marines, close in on the Necrons. Shoot, the Space Marines open fire on the Necrons, and then they will charge. So, we're just going to move them in closer. So the captain is going to go in. His movement range is 6 inches. And the assault intercessors, I don't even think they really need to move. Yeah, they'll move in a little bit. We'll say like 3 inches or so. Okay, now we get on to the shooting phase. Okay, Captain is going to shoot at one of the scarabs. He's going to choose the supercharge on his plasma pistol. And no ones, so he didn't blow up. Wait, why am I rolling 2 dice? Just re-roll it to be fair. Okay, he rolls a 6. Too bad he doesn't get a bonus critical for that. So that is a hit. Now the strength on a supercharge is 8. And I believe that the scarabs, yeah, their strength is only 3. So that is more than twice their toughness. So that's going to lower his wound from a 4 to a 2. Okay, and he wounds for 2 damage. Okay, that first one is at 2. Okay, next, the assault intercessors. Okay, we're going to start with the sergeant. And he's going to supercharge his pistol to go after the destroyer with the reap blade. Oh no. Okay, apparently he cooked that shot a little too long and his gun blew up in his face. So he's dead. Oh, that's very unfortunate. Okay, now we're going into the charge phase. And see, I really have no reason to strategically pile in or anything. So let's see here. They have... Okay, the scarabs have 4 wounds. And the captain has 5 attacks. All right. So he's going to charge in. Here. And he's going to do... No, he's going to do two attacks. No, 3 attacks and 2 attacks. So on the first one, we'll do the 3. Okay, he's got 3 hits. And his strength is +1, so that's a 5. And there's a 3, so he's not quite double. So he needs a 3 or better to wound. He gets 1 wound on him. Okay, now the other 2 are both hits and both wound. Okay, so this guy's down to 2. Or he's got 2 wounds, rather. And this one has 3. Okay. Now the Intercessors are gonna target this guy here for the charge. 5 inches should be enough. If I can find what I did with my range ruler. Literally just had it. There it is. Okay. Yeah, 5 is enough to get him into range there. Yeah, okay. So it's going to go there. He is going to come here. He'll go there. And he will go here. Now they have the pile in, which means they can move 3 inches towards the closest enemy. But from the way I understand it, they just have to end that move closer to that closest enemy, for which all of them is going to be this guy right here. So this guy is just going to move like that, but this guy is going to come over here. Now, he did move closer to the one with the reap blade, but he is now closer to this guy. So that'll you'll see why I do that after the combat here. And this guy, see if he goes. If it goes like that. Yeah. Same thing with this one. He did move closer to this guy, but he's now closer to that one. And the last guy is just going to come in right here. Okay, so they've piled in. They're ready to attack. And they have 2... Well, they're using their chain swords, so they have 3 attacks. Okay, start with these 2 guys hitting him. They need 3, so that's 2 hits. And the strength. Oh, they're actually, well, no, nope, the chainsword doesn't give them bonus strength. Okay, so they're wounded on a 5. Okay, 1 wound. 3 more hits. And 2 wounds. Okay, so he has 3 pending wounds right now. Save is a 3+, -1 for the armor penetration, so he needs a 4+ to save. Oh my god, he saved all those. Alright, we got these 2 guys here coming at him. And that's 2 hits. 1 wound. 1 save. You got 2 hits. 2 wounds. No, 1 wound. And 1 save. Oh. Okay, so they have finished their charge. So now I'm going to do a consolidation where it's basically another pile-in where you have to end 3 inches and you have to end closer to the one you were closest to. So he's going to move 3 inches to get back behind this guy, and he's going to do the same over here. Now, the reason for that is because well, no, they can still attack. So I guess it really doesn't matter. All right. So that phase did not go over very well. Okay, so we did the charge, and that was the fight. So now the scarabs get to fight back. Let's see, am I reading that right? Okay, yeah, they just charge. Okay, so the charge, then the fight. And now the Necrons get a chance to counterattack. Okay, now the scarabs. Yeah, the scarabs are going to attack the captain. They have 4 attacks. Oof. 4 attacks. They have lower strength. Okay. Ooh, that's 1 wound. 1 wound automatically. I'm going to set that aside. So it's 1 automatic wound. Okay, next one. Hits twice, so we're up to 6 now. And I don't think that one in the back can hit him. Yeah, he's not within an inch. So we got 6 hits, 1 automatic wound. All right, and they need 5 or better to wound. And they don't. Okay, so the captain takes 1 wound. And over here, this is going to be a fun one. So, it's got an AP of 4. They hit on 3s. They have 3 attacks. So he's going to put all 3 attacks right here. Needs a 3 or better. Gets 2 hits. And he is stronger than the Intercessors. So he's going to wound on a 3. We've got 2 wounds. And actually, he has... No, he doesn't have an extra attack. Okay, and I think the Intercessors only have 2 wounds, yeah. So he's dead. Things are not going well for the Marines. And then these guys are going to attack here. Now they have 4 attacks. Oh, wait, what am I doing? I didn't even roll his save. Actually, I don't think I can, because he needs 3. Yeah, and the weapon's got an AP of 4, so there's not even any save in it. Same with these guys, because they have an AP of... Well, I thought you could save on a 6. Let's see here. So he got 3 hits. 3 wounds. And 1 save, but it's still enough to kill him. Okay. You got 3 hits. 2 wounds. 1 save. So for the time being, that Intercessor survives. Okay. That is it for that turn. Necrons, turn 1. Necrons seek to break through the Space Marines and reach their object. The Necrons must focus on reaching the objective rather than destroying the opponents. Okay, and then move and charge. The Scarabs are going to fall back away from the captain. And they have a movement of 10. And why do I keep losing the range ruler? Okay. So they can go basically all the way up to C. Which is exactly what they're going to do. And they have healed 1 wound. Oh, wait a minute. I'm doing that wrong. Because all damage has to be... Once a unit's injured, all damage has to be assigned to it. Then it moves on to the next one. So we had a 2 and a 3. So that was 5. So that would have killed one of these. And the one left over would have healed at the beginning of the turn. Okay, and there's no eligible charges. Scorpec destroyers continue to duel with the Space Marines, buying time for the Scarabs to reach the far end of the chamber. Okay, and I think this is going to be a quick combat here. All right, we'll start with the big guy here. Okay, he got 2 hits, 1 wound, no save. So let's see. His damage on that is 3. So 1 wound is enough to kill that Intercessor. Down to 1 Intercessor. Okay, he gets 3 hits, 2 wounds, no save. Okay, all the Intercessors are down. Alright, and okay. Now it's just to play it out. And it has the win condition here. Either the Space Marines kill them all, or the Necron has a model touching the objective by the end of turn 3. So we are on turn 2 right now, and I think the Scarabs can actually get there. Or, no. Maybe, well, they could. Yeah, they can advance and possibly make it. No. Okay. But they will be there on turn 3. And there's no way the captain's going to stop that. But he sure as hell is going to try. So with a movement of 6, he's going to close as much of the distance as he can. And he's going for the overcharge. Oh god, I need to start using that loss. Okay, Captain kills himself. And the Necrons recover the orb. Okay, that was a pretty interesting defeat for the Marines. But that was playthrough number 13. And I will be back next week with another issue.